Hi, everybody. I'm Dean Walker, and I'm here with my creative partner, Carolyn Baker, in
Hello,
our
everyone.
hey, and our little organization called Living Resilience. And we've got a really wonderful live event coming up that we'd like to invite you to. It's called Resilience Bridge. It's our version of a little over a 3-day workshop in Ashland, Oregon, coming up in July. We'll get all that information. It'll be up on the screen a number of times. But we were both thinking that this might be a good place, this particular time when we want to let you know about this workshop. Like, why? What are we up to? Why are we doing this? What's the purpose, and what would be the purpose of you coming to do this workshop with us, this Resilience Bridge workshop? And Carolyn, if I might just start it out, I just want to mention that ever since day one, when you and I started working together, from your many, many books on the topic of being collapse aware and trying to find a way to be more related and more open-hearted in the face of a collapse driven world, I noticed that we always agreed on some version of what got us here, what got us to these predicaments. And the answer that we kept coming up with is that we disconnected. We seem to have disconnected from all the primary sources of meaning in a human life. That, in our jargon, would be our deeper selves, each other, and Earth herself. And recently, we've been throwing in a piece from both of our dear friends, Francis Weller, who would include soul in that list.
Right.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, right.
But the idea we want to focus on today, just for the next few minutes, is to give you a sense of if that is what got us here, this deep disconnection in every one of these domains. How do we move forward together in the face of these huge predicaments, these extraordinary, pungent challenges that we've got going on in our world? Carolyn, you want to say anything about the disconnection?
Yeah, there is absolutely no way that we can build resilience in these times if we don't know what got us here. Because in the cause is the answer to or possible options for how we respond to the predicament. So we have to understand what that means, disconnecting from self, from others, and from Earth. And let's break that down. Disconnecting from ourselves, disconnecting from our sacred essence, because everything in this culture tells us that we are material beings, that we are technological beings, that we are problem-solving beings, and very much that we are individual beings. We're separated from Earth, from other people, and so how would we not be separated from ourselves?
Yeah.
Secondly, we are disconnected from each other just inherently in the kind of culture we live in, with the heavy focus on individualism and achievement and competition. And so, talk to almost anyone in this culture and they feel isolated. They feel disconnected from other people. And as much as they passionately want that connection, I found that few people really know how to make it happen and sustain it.
Yeah.
And look at the number of suicides that we're seeing right now. In every state in the United States, the rate of suicide is increasing. The opioid addiction is increasing. Disconnection from each other. And profound loneliness. And then disconnection from Earth. And, it doesn't take a lot of explanation to understand that. Yeah. Because most people don't recognize themselves as part of the Earth, or more importantly, feel themselves as part of the Earth, as opposed to, well, there's the Earth out there and it's really beautiful and I look out my window and isn't that great and the birds are singing. No, that's not out there. That's got something to do with what's in here.
Yeah.
So in order to create resilience and maintain it and build it in our lives, We have to understand how we got here, and we have to develop tools for reconnecting with ourselves, with each other, and with Earth.
Yeah. Carolyn, if I could just take off from there, what I've been noticing really since quite a while before you and I started designing this work is that we appear to be a culture, and while globally, it's mostly in the United States that I think we've really refined it to an art. And that is that we have learned to normalize extraordinary, really what looks to me like trauma, like literally tsunami level trauma. And it seems to be almost a daily occurrence in our news cycle here in the USA in particular. We've come to normalize literally an insane leadership in the political and corporate economic leadership. We're literally insane. We are all riding together on a parade, on an ecocidal parade. And the stability that we'd be looking for from our leaders is, of course, obviously not there. We've also come to normalize in ourselves that feeling of we really don't have a way to make a difference. We don't have a way to make any kind of a wave in our world. Some people are lucky enough to have a community in which they can vote locally, act locally, and good for them. That's fantastic. But I think the vast majority of us have this sense of it is hopeless. I am completely unable to make any difference in any of the huge predicaments that we're facing. And this normalizing of trauma is something that we've really put into the center of this work to first just name it, because it goes unnamed if we've normalized it. It becomes just the next thing in the news cycle, and we don't talk about the excruciating pain that of just being witness to families being separated in this immigration crisis that's going on right now in the world. We don't have any apparent capacity to take in the very, there was a news broadcast today in a number of media about the acceleration, the immense acceleration of Arctic and Antarctic ice melt, which is a direct symptom of climate change which more than half of Americans don't believe is human caused.
Right.
So we've normalized these extraordinary expressions that really spell our separation from other people, our separation from our own hearts and our own souls and our own wisdom, and of course, separation from Earth.
Well, I might just say that when you are experiencing trauma, and a lot of people don't understand the extent to which we are being traumatized, and we're being traumatized on an hourly basis from what I can see. And if we don't know how to titrate or manage that trauma, then we're going to normalize it, because otherwise we go crazy. So we normalize it and normalize it. That doesn't make it go away. That just sends it deeper into our psyches and into our bodies and our cells, and creates all kinds of difficulties going forward. And so what we want to do in Resilience Bridge is to name that trauma and to look at how we can really respond to it rather than having to normalize it. We learn practices for how to do that. And, you know, a lot of people who understand what's going on, they hear podcasts every day, they read articles, maybe they're subscribers to my daily news digest, and they get all this news coming in, but they're alone with it. They're sitting someplace where, yeah, maybe they got some friends in the community and there's a permaculture class that they're part of, or, you know, there's this or there's that, and, you know, they get involved in some group, but they don't really have a place to talk about this with other people who get what they are feeling and experiencing.
Yeah.
We provide that in Resilience Bridge. And not just a one-time feel good, oh, isn't this great, but tools for how people can go back and begin to employ these techniques and these practices in their own communities, and how they can stay connected with each other going forward.
Yeah. Reinforcing those connections and those learnings through, we've got the safe circle calls that we offer on
Right.
the first, third, and fifth Tuesdays of every month at 6 p.m. Pacific. And all this information's on the screen, and all the information's on the website, which is also on the screen. So, please just make a point of connecting with us. And hope you will also make a point of getting all the information that you might need to find out about this Resilience Bridge workshop. This is the best we know how to offer, and we are. I think I can speak for you, Carolyn, in saying that what we want to do with Resilience Bridge and everything else that we're offering in this little Living Resilience Alliance is we want to bring the most powerful tools for reconnecting with these primary sources of meaning in a human life. Because I don't know what else it's going to take to turn any kind of tide in the human experience to be able to give us the kind of capacity we need in order to be able to face the intensity and scale of trauma that Carolyn was just describing. It takes something. This is hard work. This is not the 3 easy life hacks to be able to get this handled and then we can move on with business as usual. What we're looking at is an absolute transformation of business as usual, complete transformation of our world. And it needs to start at the most intimate level, at our reconnection with these primary sources of meaning. And I don't know of a better way to do that than with a bunch of kindred spirits in a safe environment like Resilience Bridge.
Well, recently, Dean, you attended a conference in which there was a Native American elder there. And it was a conference in which a lot of similar work was going on, similar to what we do. Mm-hmm. And this wonderful elder said, folks, don't wait until this kind of resource is not available. Take advantage of this now. So folks, we're offering this Resilience Bridge course right now before it becomes unavailable. Before, for example, there's no more internet. Before, for example, you may not be able to travel. Before, for example, we can't even charge a fee because, nobody has any money and money doesn't exist anymore, and all of those, various catastrophic scenarios that could happen. But if there's trauma now, there's going to be a hell of a lot more next year and the year after that. So I invite you to take advantage of this training now. Trust me, there is nothing else like it on the planet.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm going to be there.
Me too.
Nothing more I'd rather be doing with a bunch of kindred spirits. So count me in.
Yeah.
Carolyn, thanks for taking the time to chat about this. And if any of you have any questions sparked by what we've been talking about, the information, the contact information for us is on the screen, and we look forward to talking with you. And hopefully we look forward to having you join us in Ashland in July of this fine year of 2018. Carolyn, take good care of yourself.
Yeah, you too. And I'll see you in Ashland with all these other wonderful people.
All righty. Bye, everybody.